Namaste, good evening. Welcome to Chitta Media and the Festival of Bharat. Today we are joined
Namaste.
by a very interesting person, Mr. Aman Chaudhary, who is coming out with a new book of his. It's called The Unarmed Struggle, or should I rather say Armed Struggle, the alternative history of Indian freedom struggle. And he's taken about 5 years to write this book, and the link will be below in the description. And for those of you who are interested, can check it out. And we are going to be having a conversation about many of the aspects which have intersectionality, which have interconnectedness in our Indian history, but have not been explored. First of all, Amanji, thank you so much. Namaste and welcome.
Namaste to everybody. Yeah.
How are you and how's everything? I am to believe that you're in Chennai and the situation seems a little
yes, but thanks to the internet, I was able to do it, the comfort of my home. So it's okay, it's fine.
Right. Good to hear that. Now, first of all, give us a brief introduction about the book. What made you write this book?
Sure. So just to correct you, this book, although is actually a collection of travel experiences of 5 years of travel, collected travel, and sort of connecting these different dots together all over the world,
Right.
And this book really just talks about, if you look at the title of the book, it's called The Unarmed Struggle, where the un is cancelled. The book is about the struggle which no one knows about in India. So as growing up in India till I was 17, I went to high school here, and we are taught about Gandhi and Satyagraha, and there was a movie Gandhi, so it was very Gandhi centric. The narrative was about Gandhi and Nehru, little bit of Subhash Chandra Bose, but very little of Savarkar to nothing actually at from which school I studied in. Right. And so I realized that there needs to be a story told to the people of India about the armed struggle, which is the opposite of the unarmed struggle, right, which is also very interesting, but they have been hairbrushed from our history completely, Right. So my idea is to bring all that details in my book. And also when you think of Savarkar or Aurobindo Ghosh, Subhash Chandra Bose, Bhagat Singh, you think of them as these individual people, although they are independently doing something and they didn't have like a major play. But in the reality is far from it. In fact, they are very, very well connected, these people. And my book shows that how these links are maintained, how they work with each other, what causes to the other wakes up, it's basically a journey, that's how I call it.
And in the book, you employ certain terms like the Pandavas of London, the Stanford professor, and the Tokyo chef. These are very interesting terminologies for our viewers. Right. To explain what this means.
Sure. Indian history, as I mentioned, my book is about Kshatriyata, right? About the fight which we had, which people not are unaware of. But my book story starts in London in the year 1901, when Savarkar actually moves, from India to London. And around that same time, it's about Aurobindo Ghosh, who comes from London to India, his journey. So they are both sort of crossing paths, but I call them and their groups the Pandavas of London. So in the case of Savarkar, what happens is that when he joins London and goes there for his higher studies, he is staying at a place called India House. Now, India House was started by a person from Kutch by the name Shyamji Krishna Verma. What he did is he housed a lot of Indian students together. But this India House was actually running an underground, there were a lot of underground activities, hidden activities. They were planning a murder for one of the people called by the name Lord Curzon Wiley, who was a British officer, now retired in London. They were making bomb-making factories over there, and and sending that bomb making technologies to India. So, which is very fascinating. And there's this group of people whom I call the Pandavas of London, who plan these major activities. And also this group in London was connected with something called the India-Paris Society, led by a lady called Bikaji Kama. Now, Bikaji Kama actually wore a sari in the early 1900s and went to Germany and furthered India's first flag. So they actually make India's first flag, which is based on the 1857 flag, where it's got lotuses. So I have documented all of those things in my book. So that is Savarkar's story. And then what ultimately happens is that group gets busted in the UK, and the group's dispersed. Shyamji Krishna Verma leaves for Geneva. Then few people get arrested, few people escape to US, and that's sort of the second part of my story, which is the Stanford professor. But also what is happening is, incidentally, there is Aurobindo Ghosh, whom we think of as a spiritual guru, but a lot of people don't know that he actually had a very violent past. And he was working with this group to set up bomb-making factories in India, and gets arrested for something called the Alipur conspiracy case, where they try to blow up a court magistrate, where the magistrate actually dies. And Aurobindo somehow escapes to Pondicherry, which is a French territory, but his brother unfortunately gets arrested and gets shipped off to Andamans, where he meets Savarkar. So that's the story of Pandavas of London in a nutshell. And my book explains this part, in a very beautiful, moving way of how each event takes place and who are the people involved and all of those things.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.